episode of Medicine Apps podcast series. I'm Hetvi Shah and your host. And today we have an incredibly insightful discussion ahead on a topic which is of immense importance: cervical cancer. Did you know that according to a recent survey by WHO, cervical cancer remains a global health challenge with over 6 lakh new cases and more than 3 lakh deaths each year? Joining us today to guide us through this complex issue is esteemed Dr. Himani Manchala, a radiation oncologist from Arka Cancer Hospital and Research Institute in Guntur from Andhra Pradesh. Dr. Himani has dedicated her career to advancing cancer care through cutting-edge treatment strategies. So, without further ado, let's dive into the world of cervical cancer, Doctor. And it is an immense pleasure to have you with us, Doctor.
Thank you.
So, to start with, Doctor, can you give us an overview of the current global burden of cervical cancer, and why is early detection so crucial in reducing mortality rates, particularly in lower income countries?
According to recent Globocon data, the incidence of cervical cancer is around 6.6 lakhs throughout the world, and it constitutes 14% of all new cancer cases, and the mortality is around 50%, that means 3.5 lakhs deaths around the world, and it is third most common cancer in females throughout the world, and the incidence and prevalence is more common in developing and underdeveloped countries. Why early detection is important? Because if we can detect early and diagnose in early stages, we can cure the cervical cancer. For example, if we take stage 1 cervical cancers, the cure rate, the 5-year overall survival will be more than 90%. And for stage 2 cervical cancer patients, the survival will be around 80 to 90%. And stage 3 cancers, the survival will be around 70 to 80%. And if it is locally advanced, that means if the tumor has spread to parietic lymph nodes, that is more locally advanced. In such cases, the survival will be around 60% only. And in stage 4 cancers, it is less than 50%. So if we can detect early by screening techniques, and if we can diagnose in early stages, it is completely curable and the mortality will be very less.
Yes, that's such a powerful reminder of how critical early screening is. Now, speaking of prevention, the introduction of the HPV vaccine has been a game changer. So, in your experience, how has it impacted the incidence of cervical cancer, and what are the challenges we face in increasing vaccine uptake, especially in areas where burden remains high?
Yeah, actually in India, the HPV vaccine was introduced in 2008 itself, whereas in US, it was introduced in 2006. In India, in 2009, a pilot project was launched in 2 states, but the project was suspended in between because of rejections from the public. In 2023, we have launched our own vaccine, that is Cervavac, that is into the market now. And so we, in India especially, we don't have so much data on vaccines, cervical vaccines, and its impact on incidence of cervical cancers. But if we take in US, they have very good data because they were taking since 2006. So they have very good data, and according to that data, the incidence of HPV vaccines and the wards because of HPV viruses, it was dropped by 80% because of the vaccines, and the incidence of cervical cancers was dropped around 40% because of the vaccines.
That is
And in developing and underdeveloped countries, so it must be included in universal immunization program for young female children. So So that because it's the incidence and prevalence is more common in these countries, we can expect a good result in our country also.
Yes, I think it is so incredible to hear about the reduction in cases, and especially after the introduction of vaccination. But the challenges you mentioned is definitely significant as well. Now let's shift towards treatment. So can you walk us through the standard protocols for early stage versus advanced stage cervical cancer? And how does radiation therapy fit into these treatment strategies?
Yeah, for early stage cervical cancers, that means from stage 1 and stage 1B1, 1B2, that is tumor less than 4 centimeters, and for stage 2A tumors, patients can have two options. One is surgery and other is radiation therapy. Both have equal effect. And for locally advanced and advanced cervical cancers, that is tumor more than 4 centimeters, that is 1B3. And from stage 2B to 4A, radical radiation along with concurrent weekly cisplatin followed by brachytherapy. That is the standard treatment option. So in EBRT, we treat the patient with external beam radiotherapy with up to 50 Gray for 5 weeks, along with weekly cisplatin chemotherapy, followed by HDR intracavitary brachytherapy.
Yes, I think radiation actually truly plays a pivotal role in these different cases. Now, in cases where cervical cancer reoccurs and radiation therapy also has already been used, so what are the options available for re-irradiation or other innovative approaches to manage disease progression?
So, reoccurrence means the patient can have reoccurrence locally or loco-regionally or somewhere else in the body. So if the patient is having recurrence locally, that means the tumor is very small in size and it is operable. So the patient can go for surgery. And if it is locally advanced, then we can re-irradiate the patient. If the time interval is more than 2 years, so we can re-irradiate the patient, or else we can offer brachytherapy. If the patient is having reoccurrence somewhere else in the body, for example in bone, we can irradiate that and send the patient to palliative chemotherapy. Or else if the patient is having recurrence in supraclavicular lymph node, then we can irradiate the supraclavicular lymph node and then send the patient to palliative chemotherapy. So depending upon the site of recurrence and the disease burden, we can offer radiation or palliative chemotherapy.
Yes, I think that these advancements are actually truly so fascinating. So now, brachytherapy is often highlighted as a key treatment for cervical cancer. So could you explain its role and how it differs from external beam radiation in terms of effectiveness and patient outcomes?
Yeah, we know that the cervix is anatomically located in between the uterus and rectum. So, if we treat the patient with external beam radiotherapy, the radiation dose that will go to some part of the dose, it goes to uterus, it goes to bladder, and some part of the dose it goes to rectum, which may result in side effects. But with intracavitary brachytherapy, we directly apply the applicators into the uterus and treat the tumor. So in brachytherapy, the dose will be confined to the tumor, not like in external beam radiotherapy. Whereas in external beam radiotherapy, the dose will be delivered to bladder, rectum, and some other bowel loops and everything. So the patient will have some side effects. Whereas in brachytherapy, we can limit the radiation dose to the tumor and confirm the radiation dose, and we can make the radiation dose will be very limited to the bladder and rectum, so we can reduce the side effects.
Yes, I think brachytherapy does offer a targeted precision, which is actually which actually enhances the treatment. Now, finally, for cervical cancer survivors, long-term side effects for radiation can be challenging. So, what are some of the most common side effects, and how can healthcare providers better support patients in managing them to improve their quality of life?
So we can classify these side effects two types. One is early side effects. That means during the treatment time or within 6 months of the treatment, the patient can develop some side effects. These are called early side effects. As I mentioned, in EBRT, the dose will be delivered to bladder and rectum, so the patient can develop radiation cystitis and radiation proctitis. If in early reactions, that means the patient may complain vomiting, nausea, or loose motions. So we can manage these symptoms medically. If the patient complains these symptoms after 6 months of radiation, those are late side effects. The patient may complain mild to severe side effects like for example, if radiation proctitis, in case of radiation proctitis, the patient may complain dysuria, sometimes blood in the urine. So depending upon the symptoms, so we can manage medically with some simple antioxidants or anti-inflammatory measurements. If the patient is having severe side effects, that means hematuria, that means blood in the urine, that is grade 3 proctitis and grade 3 cystitis and grade 4 cystitis. In those cases, we need to irrigate the bladder with saline. Or if it is still the patient is symptomatic, then we can send the patient to urologist for further management. In case of radiation proctitis, that means the patient may complain blood in the motions. So if the symptoms are mild, we can manage with medical management. Same if the patient is complaining severe symptoms, then we can send the patient for laser coagulation. If still, even if the symptoms are not subsided with laser coagulation, surgical intervention may be required.
Yes, that is so truly said. Actually, especially when addressing the long-term side effects, this is very vital. So now, as we conclude today's session, I would like to thank Dr. Himani for sharing your insights today with us. And I know that cervical cancer continues to be a major global health issue. But through right awareness, vaccination, and advanced treatment strategies like the ones we've discussed today, there is so much hope for future with reduced mortality and improved quality of life for cancer survivors. So thank you so much for sharing your important tips today, Doctor. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us into this episode of Medicinas podcast series. And remember, if you are a healthcare professional who is eager to delve deeper into medical topics or have questions, do not hesitate to join us on Medicinas platform. Medicinas platform is not just a resource. It's a dynamic space where you can connect with your medical peers, participate in meaningful discussions, and contribute to the ongoing evolution of healthcare. So until next time, stay aware and stay healthy.